Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tracy?
I'm good. I'm good. So tell us who are you?
Absolutely. So I'm Robin Fuxa. I am running for Senate District 21.
Right.
I grew up in Chandler. My folks got married about 4 days after my dad returned from Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they'd waited long enough over that difficult year. So got married as quickly as they could after he got home. And then soon after he was out of the Army, they moved to Chandler. So that's where I grew up.
Right.
I was there until I was 16. He was there at OG&E, and then we got transferred back to Seminole, where they were from. And so I spent my last 2 years of high school at Strother, where I was one of 28 graduates there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I totally understand that. Yes, I came from a very small school as well.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
rural schools are amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for the Senate District 21, so you are running for Senator Duggar's seat.
Yes,
current seat.
And he's retiring, of course. So it'll be an open seat.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this your first time running?
It is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been an educator my whole career up to now. I started teaching 5th grade in Bartlesville, and then I started after that, right after we got married, in Pawnee for several years. It was awesome there being a library media specialist. I thought, well, I'll do that until I can get back in the classroom. And what I really quickly learned is that was an awesome classroom. I got to teach 6th through 12th grade across content areas, lots of collaboration with my colleagues, and then getting kids excited about reading, which is my passion, and fostering that literacy and just getting to play across all kinds of areas. It was the most fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I went on to get another degree and decided to go into teacher ed at OSU so that I could make sure that that every kiddo had the cool opportunities my colleagues and I were able to offer. I loved my experience as an undergrad at OSU and decided I wanted to join my colleagues there to prepare teachers. So that's what I did the last 15 years until I left in January to run. Yeah, there's a lot going on for education.
Yes, there is. And hopefully it'll continue that we keep fighting for, everything that is needed and warranted. It needs to be there,
Absolutely, yes.
So
our kids deserve that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what made you decide to run?
Well, I've been doing advocacy work for a long time, and that's, I think, kind of a natural part of the professional life when you're a teacher.
Yeah.
Starting pretty early in my career with the Right to Read in nearby community. When I was pretty early in my career, had a list of about 200 books someone in their town wanted to ban, and so we reached out. One of those was the Diary of Anne Frank. I mean, we're talking essential pieces, right?
Yeah.
Real opportunities for kids to learn and grow. Yeah. And so a colleague and I reached out, wrote a letter to the district and talked about the resources they could use, the processes they could follow, a selection policy that could protect kids' right to read and ensure that parents have that opportunity to say, of course, not for me. They always have that right, which I'm pleased with because that should be a family decision. But also that it protected other families so that one parent couldn't say, no children can have access to this piece.
That is
so that's how that process has to work. So that was a really early career event that arose. But then soon after, watching funding whittle away, just advocating for public schools funding, which we still have a lot of work to do on. We're the lowest per pupil in the region, over $2,000 per child below our regional, below our area states. And then trying to address the teacher exodus over the last several years. We have record numbers of emergency certified folks and now adjuncts who may or may not have a degree. And those folks are doing important work trying to fill that need, but that shouldn't be the norm for how folks enter our classrooms. We owe teachers better than that. We owe our kids better than that. So,
absolutely.
And Oklahoma has like a 32% teacher pay penalty. The Economic Policy Institute looks at what teachers make versus what other bachelor's holders in that state make. So when people say, oh, it's just a cost of living thing, that's absolutely not correct. The pay gap for teachers is huge in Oklahoma, and that's another factor along with respect and those conditions in the classroom.
Right. Absolutely. So, besides education, is there any other of your campaign points that you would like to discuss?
Yes. So healthcare is a big need in Oklahoma for sure. We don't have enough health professionals from a certified nurse's aide, which I did briefly in college, and have all the respect in the world for folks who do that work long term.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh my goodness, yes. So from that on all the way up to surgeons, specialists, we just don't have enough folks in Oklahoma to do that work.
Right.
So, and a lot of times they'll offer incentive programs to try to bring people in, but what we see is a churn during that incentive period. People stay and then they leave. So I'd really like to look at ways that we can incentivize and make it accessible for Oklahomans to prepare in health fields.
Right.
I think that's really a critical step for us. We've got folks going to Dallas for sometimes even like basic care. I have a friend who needs pediatric dermatology, and I have to go to Dallas monthly. So it's just, it's difficult for people. And we have a lot of primary care deserts around the state, especially in our rural communities. So making sure folks can get that access to care quickly helps their longevity. We live longer when we have better access to that. And it helps our pocketbooks, making sure that we don't delay care and then cost us more as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another big one for me. And then access to opportunity, whether that be veteran services. That's near and dear to my heart with my dad and his dad being a veteran. His dad served in the Battle of the Bulge, and so that history is really important in my family. So making sure they have access to the services we provide. We do a lot of things well in Oklahoma, but there are some things we can improve. One being, as I've talked to veterans, really making sure we support that transition moment from military service to civilian life. That's just a difficult transition, lots of changes. So whether it be support with career opportunities, mental health care if that's needed, and kind of destigmatizing that, or even just somebody to talk with that's trusted, another veteran that they can connect with, maybe a mentor that we can pair them with. Because we have a lot of folks in Oklahoma, lots and lots of veterans who'd love to help with that, but we haven't put that mechanism in place. So that's something I'm excited to work on. And then just like nuts and bolts things. We provide reimbursement for mileage if somebody if somebody from a VFW gives a veteran a ride to a healthcare appointment, up to like beyond a certain distance. But if somebody lives 25 miles away, and especially for our senior veterans, if they're not comfy driving in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, where they might need to make that appointment, they're going to delay it, and they're maybe just not going to go. So that's an easy fix. We can provide that access closer to, especially for our senior veterans who may not be as comfy driving in those spaces. And I've heard that from a lot of folks. So those kinds of things. And then we have lots of childcare needs in our state. That's such a need right now, and that's an access to workforce issue for sure too. And then for folks, we've got an aging population, and so it's ideal to support folks aging in place. So we want to try to support that and provide people with resources when they're caring for a relative in home. But then when folks do have to have, assisted living, we want to make sure that's accessible. It's very expensive right now, and spaces are really limited. So those are just a few things I want to work on. We have a lot of work to do in Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I taught in a rural school too. I was at Pawnee, like I said, for several years. So that's a real passion for me. Rural schools are the heart of the community. And right now our public schools are directly under attack from our State Department of Education with Ryan Walters. And then he's not being held accountable. So that's another huge concern that I have. Not only is his behavior problematic, both in policy and rhetoric, what he has to say about teachers and often kids even, which is a safety concern. But we need to hold him accountable. We need to make sure that if somebody's in office, they're number one, doing the job they were sent to do, and number two, not being problematic for folks. And we see him using our tax dollars to self-promote, which they just passed a bill to control that. But that's after millions of dollars spent toward his self-promotion. So I think that's a real concern for Oklahomans too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Robin. We really appreciate you being here today. And we just want to remind everybody that the June 18th primary election is just right around the corner. It's a week and a half away. However, actually, it's 2.5 weeks away, excuse me. But I was thinking of we're going to have the Payne County Election Board in office. The Cushing Chamber of Commerce, we're located at 1301 East Main Street. We are an early voting site for anyone in Payne County. Any Payne County resident can swing by on June 13th, 14th, and 15th. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. And you can stop by and early vote and get it done and not be time crunched on that Tuesday, June 18th.
Yep.
So, it's super convenient. And I don't think a lot of people know, first, about it, and second, that anyone in Payne County can use this, can stop by the chamber office. Doesn't matter if you live in the northwestern corner of Payne County, far, far away, you can stop by here. We have a lot of out-of-town workers Monday through Friday here in Cushing, so this is a great resource for them.
Absolutely.
So we really appreciate the Payne County Election Board and the Oklahoma Election Board allowing these type of early voting places to happen. Also in Stillwater, at the Stillwater Public Library, you can go there and do early voting if you happen to be in Stillwater on June 13th, 14th, or 15th. So again, thank you so much, Robin. Robin is a candidate for the Senator District 21 primary election coming up.
And I don't have a primary opponent, so I'm on to November.
Right.
So I hope folks take a look and consider voting for me then. I would very much be honored by that.
Yes.
And then, just super thrilled that we have this new opportunity for early voting in Cushing. That's vital.
Absolutely. I did not realize that. That is real. I must have been looking at something different.
Okay.
So I apologize.
No,
but
not at all.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. So, so let me continue that then.
Sure.
Since you are already moving on to the general election in November. So what, tell us a little bit about a candidate's point of view on that. What happens since you're not in the primary? What happens in between that time?
Well, I'm treating it as if I do, just because I'm a new candidate. I don't have the name recognition. Maybe that somebody who's run before might have, and so I still feel an obligation to hit it hard. And so I'm doing lots of door knocking, making sure to be in each community to get to know people and just just be as accessible as possible, because that's the job, right? Making sure you get to know people, get to know their needs, and listen. And so I'm treating it as if I do. But yeah, so I am moving forward, but still working my tail off to make sure that I meet as many people as possible and hopefully earn their trust and their vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is kind of a different question, because a lot of us from the public, it's not something we really look into, because we just go and vote, So so this question is kind of left field, but I know other people are thinking this.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. So
good questions.
Can someone after the primary, the June 18th primary, sign up to run for that seat?
The filing deadline was in April. And so
that's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks have to file for state offices at that time. I think it was April 3rd through 5th this year. I was there on day one.
Right.
To get my name there. So I was super excited to have the opportunity to run. We had some life changes, make it a little bit more possible for us. And then that sense of urgency around what's happening for public ed, I just didn't think I could wait. And so I'm excited to have the chance to run. So filing was April, like I said, early April. And then there's an opportunity for folks to change their mind over a few day period shortly after that if they wanted to withdraw. But otherwise, that was the chance to throw the name in the hat.
Okay. Yes. And so in the meantime, you will be around Cushing quite a bit, and all of District 21 communities.
Yes.
So how can people get a hold of you if they just happen to miss you at one of the events or something like that?
Yeah, thank you. So my website is robinforoklahoma.com. I've got an email address on there, and I'll soon be adding a Google Voice number so folks can call too.
Oh, cool.
But really just, we're going to be doing town halls around. We're going to be doing coffee with the candidates at local shops around. And so we'll be as accessible as possible. And then we'll be knocking doors in these communities too, just going directly to voters and saying, what are your hopes for Oklahoma right now? How can I help? And so we'll be doing all of that. And then, of course, Chamber of Commerce events, looking at community opportunities, like even though it's not in district because it pulls a lot of folks from Creek County. I was at the Tabooly Fest in May.
Right.
And so those kinds of things, just being as accessible as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we do have our festival in the park coming up September 28th.
And
yes, and usually we have candidates and incumbents join a chili cook-off that the Lions Club does. So super fun,
yes,
and you get to eat. You get to cook, you get to eat, you get to meet everybody. So just putting a bug in your ear on that one, but
yeah, I will make sure to know. I have a mean chili recipe. So I'm excited
there you
about
go.
That.
There
and I love
you
to
go.
taste other chilies.
Yes, it is. It is one of a kind. I'll tell you what. So, but I'll get you the info on that.
You.
And thank you again, Robin, for being here. We really appreciate it.
So good to see
you. Yes, good to see you. And best of luck in November. You know, let me get that absolutely clear. You'll be on the November general election ballots. But it was great having you here. It's great to hear your perspective. And while all the others that are on the primary ballots, you know, here on June 18th, they get those candidates incumbents get a say too. And I am very I'm very strong about, I think everybody at the same time needs to have a say, you know, and get their message out there. So again,
we want the voters to make the right decision for themselves. So that's absolutely accurate. Thank you so much for doing this work.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day and have a great day, Cushing.